over there, sheltered under the lee of that mountain, lies the world's most surprising resort, home to Saudi princes, Hollywood stars, European royalty, billionaire tycoons, multi-millionaire footballers. Their combined wealth adds up to more than most South American countries. But it's where this is that might surprise you most. It's not Malibu or Monte Carlo, it's not Barbados or Bora Bora. No, that, my friends, hold on to your designer sunglasses, is Marbella. Marbella is a classic contradiction, a tale of two cities. You'll probably know one of them from the tabloids. Costa del Crime.
There was a shooting where literally they sprayed the hairdressers with bullets.
Boozed up Brits abroad.
Where's the champagne spray party, silly? Well, the thing is, you don't drink it all, so what else is there to do?
Vice Central.
If I was running Marbella, then it would be cleaned up.
But there's more to this town than binging Brits, wannabe wags and drug-fueled gangs. It's not Iron Napa. I'm going to show you a Marbella you may not even know exists. One that's not so much Costa del Crime as cost a hell of a lot. It's pretty ugly, but how much is it?
16,000 euros.
16,000 euros for a handbag? It's stuffed with million-pound mansions.
We don't like big houses.
You don't like big houses? What's this? Overflowing with luxury boats, oozing with flash cars, and has more than a few resident billionaires to go with them. This has got to be 10 million quid's worth, isn't it?
Could be.
Marbella is on the infamous Costa del Sol, Spain's most southerly Mediterranean mecca. With over 300 days a year of glorious sunshine, it's hardly surprising this bit of coast is so popular with us Brits. 300,000 live here, and a further 2.5 million visit every year. I'm driving the Golden Mile. It runs east-west alongside the Med and links Marbella's past and present. Behind me is the old town that Spanish Christians retook from the original Muslim invaders back in the 15th century. On my left here is the world-famous Marbella Club, where the magic of this place really all began. It was the hotel that first attracted film stars back in the 50s, kick-starting Marbella as an exclusive resort. Up here you have the mosque that was built by King Fahd of Saudi Arabia as a gift to the local people. And tucked up there you have the famous White House, which again King Fahd built as his summer residence. The Saudis still come every summer, spending millions on their annual holiday. All along here is Gulf Valley. There are more courses per head in Marbella than anywhere else in the world. And tucked away behind those trees, suitably furtive, is Milady Palace, where he or she can indulge their wildest fantasy. And if you're wondering why it's called the Golden Mile, well, there's one very good reason. Square metre per square metre, this place is more expensive than even London's Mayfair. If Marbella were a goose, then this really is the golden egg. So what kind of person has a home here? And just how rich do you have to be to live on the front row? I've been invited to take a look inside L'Oriana, reputedly one of the most impressive of Marbella's mega mansions. My guide is John Davis. John, how are you?
Welcome. Welcome to L'Oriana.
I'm looking forward to this. John is a property developer who creates these seafront havens and manages them for the wealthy owners. Wow, look at the chandelier. I mean, let's cut to the quick here. What would that cost?
About £150,000.
And what about this sort of tapestry here?
That's a very special one. There's 3 of those in the world, and that's got over 1.25 million stitches a square metre.
And what would that have cost?
I think it's valued between 350,000 and 400,000.
Wow. But that's just chicken feed. The rest of the carpets in the house cost a whopping £2 million. Thank goodness I didn't step in anything on the way. I'm not allowed to tell you who owns this place, Suffice to say, he's a British knight of the realm who's worth more than the Queen. Indeed, he only comes here for his summer holidays. The rest of the year, he lets it out.
The colours are good today with the sea.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The main house is just 5 bedrooms, but there's a 3-bedroom holiday cottage under the lawn with his own pool and a grotto for the kids. A further 4-bedroom guest house in case friends pop round, and this, another 4-bedroom house in the gardens for the servants.
Now, what have we here? Roman spa. Fully stocked gym, saunas, steam rooms, some strange bathing tool. Private cinema. Look at that. And of course, if you're super rich and you fall ill, what better than having your own little private hospital? So these aren't, are they?
Oh, they're not real gold, but they're very expensive taps.
Like what?
Well, I would say for the main 4 or 5 bathrooms in the house, you're going to spend over €250,000.
On taps?
On taps, yeah.
So, John, here's the master bedroom, and I could quite happily wake up to this every morning.
Not bad, is it?
And this is the view you would wake up to.
Spectacular.
Unbelievable. And tell me, as we stand here, I mean, if this was to go on the market tomorrow, what would it cost me?
Very hard to value, Piers, but all I can tell you is it generates a very good rental income.
Like what?
It's been renting out for 15,000 to 20,000 euros.
A month?
A day.
A day?
Yeah.
20,000 euros a day?
In the high season, 20,000 a day, low season, 15,000 minimum.
And who pays that? I mean, what type of person?
Those people.
So taking that rental income as my guide, my calculations value this property at a staggering £70 million. Not exactly cheap, but even half the price. And if you want a glimpse of the kind of people who can afford that, you may want to try the port.
We're coming now to the other end of the Golden Mile, the place that most Brits might assume is the real Marbella, and that's Porto Banús, with its fabulous, famous harbour.
It's here that you'll find the glitzy bars and chic restaurants. Since its opening in 1970, Porto Banús has been associated with conspicuous consumption and sophistication. This is Bond Street with a tan.
The port reflects an insatiable desire to be admired around here. And simply having a few million quid in the bank is nowhere near enough, because the bigger your boat, the nearer you want to park it to the restaurants. The more expensive the wardrobe, the more you have to dress up and show it off. And the flashier the car, the more you have to drive it round and round, trying to get noticed. Being a somebody in Marbella is bloody hard work.
But those with cash love nothing more than spending it, which is not difficult in a place that's crammed with 40 of the world's top designer stores. Karen Brady, the ex-MD of Birmingham City Football Club and now sidekick to Lord Sugar in The Apprentice, owns a flat in the port. When it comes to shopping, she's in the Premier League.
It would be rude not to, wouldn't it?
Yes, I think it's very Karen Brady.
So.
I think. Come on.
Hello.
Looks like I've just been hired as an apprentice bag boy. And just when I thought we couldn't possibly shop anymore,
Fendi, now this has to be right up your street.
I do like Fendi, I have to say. You know, I've got 1 or 2 little Fendi pieces. So
I bet you have.
yeah, no, it has to be said.
I mean, I haven't seen a price tag yet. How much is all this gear?
I think, Piers, if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it.
but what all the wags really come here for is a quality handbag, no matter what the price.
Excuse me, how much is this one?
16,000 euros.
16,000 euros for a handbag?
Look, Piers.
Who buys this stuff? Who buys it?
Not exactly how most of their customers react, I imagine. So just how much money is sloshing around these shores?
How rich are the people in Marbella?
Oh, there's some really, truly wealthy people. And lots of people that want to be close to the glamour. That's why they come to Marbella. That's why they're down in the port, they're in the shops.
And they're all just here nosing around, seeing what's going on.
You've got one side of it, which is very elegant, beautiful homes to live in, wonderful shops. Then on the other side, you've got the stag do's, the hen do's, the people staggering out of clubs at 5 o'clock in the morning. But actually, both sides are quite fun. You know, it's the Euro trash element of Marbella.
So part of it's Euro and part of it's trash.
Exactly.
So there's cost a lot and cost a little. But in my tale of 2 cities, what is it that makes the rich want to live here? I'll be visiting a mountaintop housing estate for millionaires, where hardly anybody actually lives.
I mean, we're talking 15 to 20 million for a place that is unoccupied.
Oh, hardly anything
All the time. As that when it's down there.
On the flip side, just how trashy is Marbella? And what's it like to end up on the wrong side of crime in the Costas?
Woke up one morning to find out we'd been broken into. We'd been gassed, knocked out, so we didn't hear anybody in the house.
Seriously, you were gassed? If you're super rich and fancy living in the sun, there are a number of options. There's Monaco for the snobs, for refined sophistication, the south of France, for exotic paradise, Barbados, and for raw excitement, you can't beat Miami. But Marbella? That's always struck me as a kind of poor man's Saint-Tropez, where lobster-red Brits come to guzzle their beer, scoff their chips, and read their daily current bun. So why is it that people who can afford to live anywhere on Earth come in such numbers to live in Marbella?
Well, for one thing, there's the weather. Marbella has a near-perfect microclimate, with average temperatures of 20 degrees. All well and good, but if you're a multi-millionaire, you don't want to be scrapping over your sun lounger. You want exclusivity, security, and the chance to lord it over everybody else. Well, head into the hills, and you'll find it. Down there is La Zagaleta, one of the most exclusive housing estates in the entire world. For starters, an average plot here will set you back a cool £4 million, a pretty penny for a chunk of hillside. But once you've built your luxurious mansion, you can probably expect to double your investment at the very least. It seems some places are just recession-proof. Construction is frenetic here, and property values rising all the time. It measures 2,200 acres and has 50 kilometres of road crisscrossing it. It also boasts 2 golf courses, stables, tennis courts, a bowling alley, a gourmet restaurant and a nightclub. But here's the weird thing about it. Most of the houses there remain empty all year long. Their owners only use them for about 2 weeks of the year, which I guess makes it Butlins for the billionaire. To get into this private hilltop hideaway, you need to be escorted from the main gate by a resident, or you might get shot. It's the little things like 24-hour armed security, dog patrols, CCTV, and a barbed wire perimeter fence to make a multi-millionaire feel secure. Inside, resident Graham Fisher is waiting to guide me the 3 kilometres to his particular slice of mountainside, where he lives with his wife Barbara, when they're not back at their Barbados residence, that is. Oh my God, look at the view! That's incredible!
Isn't it? Well, that's why we bought this house, because that was the view.
Graham sold his UK chemical company back in the 90s, made enough money for him and Barbara to find themselves on Marbella's super rich list, albeit near the bottom, something they're endearingly embarrassed about.
Is this one of the bigger ones in the area?
It's not, actually.
Really? Where would it rank?
It's one of the smallest, actually.
No.
It is. We don't like big houses. We're very happy.
You don't like big houses? What's this?
Well, we've got about 700 square metres, so what's that, 7,500 square feet of indoor living space.
But you don't like big houses?
But we've got pals here with 2,000 metre
yes,
houses.
Yes.
So it's all relative
Yes.
in Marbella?
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at the view. Huh?
You've got from the port of Banús,
Yeah.
180 degrees round to Gibraltar, and behind Gibraltar you can see Morocco.
So that is actually, that's Africa?
Correct.
Wow. It's
20,
that close?
20 miles away. You
Seriously?
could swim it on a good day.
You could.
Yes.
If you're David Walliams, it's idyllic, safe and isolated. Perfect for hiding away.
But all these houses are worth between 5 and 20 million.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. Well,
It's not easy to find one for 5.
But basically, it's
There's a
like
few
a
Germans.
secluded
If you look over
oasis
here-
for very rich people, right?
And us.
Well, Graham, let's be honest, I'm not scenting poverty here, Graham. And whose is that huge place just in front of us there?
As far as I'm aware, it belongs to a German family, but we've never seen lights on in it. It's never in use.
I mean, we're talking 15 to 20 million
Yes.
for a place that is unoccupied.
hardly any of
All
them
the
are
time.
occupied.
As that one is down there.
And there are a few Russians here.
Yeah, the mayor of Moscow.
The mayor of
as well.
Moscow has a house.
Mayor of Moscow. Would you ever sit here and think, actually, we're a bit lonely up here?
Well,
No, 'cause we've got
well,
lots of
no,
pals.
because the English, well, we all stick together wherever we go, anywhere in the world.
Well, I'd love to sit together with you. I haven't quite got the money, Barbara, to be honest with us.
Oh, it's a great party house.
Huh?
We have some great
I bet
parties
you
out
do.
here.
But it's, I mean, it is a very nice, secure place.
That's why we came here, really. It is probably the
Is it completely safe here?
Yes. I would think it's probably one of the safest places in Europe.
So the price of safety in this town is £20 million, give or take a few bob. An awful lot to shut out to ensure your parties aren't gate-crashed by unwanted visitors. But then this is the Costa del Crime. The stretch of coastline was first dubbed the Costa del Crime back in the late 70s, after some of our most notorious crooks came out here to enjoy the sun and to avoid getting nicked. While the UK and Spain were arguing over extradition treaties, the likes of Freddie Foreman, the craze enforcer, and Ronnie Knight, Barbara Windsor's gangster ex, were here enjoying their ill-gotten gains. And British hoodlums are still here, but things have changed. Marbella is now an international melting pot of criminals, and they're all after a slice of the action.
Of course, where there are so many criminals living in such a small place, there are bound to be differences of opinion. In the last few years, along this small stretch of Spanish suburbia, there have been a whole spate of gangland shootings. 3 people shot in broad daylight in that restaurant. Another person shot up here on the right. And a married couple machine gunned to death a little further down the road. In this town, you don't want to mess with the wrong people.
You see, with Morocco just a short boat trip away, Spain is the preferred route for bringing illegal substances into Europe. Consequently, you'll find more than just a few drug barons hanging around. Someone who knows all about the illicit goings-on is Wensley Clarkson. No, he's not a drug baron, he's a journalist who's written a few books on Marbella's underworld. He now lives and works here. Well, it's fertile ground.
So, Wensley, tell me about crime in Marbella.
What's so weird about this place, Piers, is that you can sit on the beach as a tourist, have a lovely time in the sun, drink your pina colada at the bar on the beach, and 20 yards behind you might be a brothel, or 20 yards behind that might be a drug baron's house. And then 20 yards behind that might be a couple of criminals threatening each other with a gun. They're here because money attracts criminals, sunshine attracts criminals, a lapse police force attracts criminals. All the elements are here. This is why it's the melting pot of criminality that it is. You know, if you were brought up flogging the odd bit of cocaine in Bulgaria, you're going to be much happier flogging the odd bit of cocaine here. 40% of all of Europe's cocaine comes through Spain.
Really?
I mean, that speaks for itself.
How much of what I'm looking at would you say has been paid for with dodgy money?
Statistically, about 60 to 70% of the new buildings that have been constructed in the last 30 years here come from black money. That's illegal money, and it's helped fuel this entire economy. It wouldn't exist without it.
How have you seen the Marbella crime scene evolve over the years?
Instead of having friendly, old-time British villains who are nice to women and children, we've actually got hard-nosed Russian gangsters, other Eastern Europeans. These are people who take no prisoners. They will order a hit on an enemy, and they don't care if their wife and children are killed at the same time.
And is that actually happening in Marbella? I mean, this is not just myth. This is going on.
It's going on all the time. There was a shooting in a hairdresser's not that long ago where literally they sprayed the hairdressers with bullets. They didn't care about the other people who were killed and injured, but they got the man they were after.
I don't dispute what you're saying is true, but are you slightly exaggerating this? Because when I've walked around Marbella, it all seems relatively safe.
Well, they're not popping out from behind trees of Lugers, Piers, but they're there. It's an underbelly, it's an undercurrent of criminality, because this is the centre, the epicentre of criminality in Europe, without a shadow of a doubt.
Perhaps I'll give that haircut a miss. So maybe Marbella is actually a tale of 3 cities. The millionaires, the boozy Brits, and the criminals. Except you don't really see the drug deals and corruption going on. Or do you? In times gone by, Marbella's dirty dealing wasn't always consigned to the shadows. This is a €500 note, or as they call them over here, Osama bin Laden's. Because although 40% of the EU's entire supply allegedly passes through Spain, you never actually see one. And the reason for that is that most of these out here get passed like this, under tables. Black money deals were the order of the day during Marbella's unprecedented 15-year building bonanza. which began in the early 90s when property prices went crazy.
The boom was fueled by corrupt mayors and officials who granted thousands of illegal permits to build on restricted land.
Today, the carcasses of fraudulent overdevelopment litter this coastline as a symbol of their unrestrained greed. In a town with an oversupply of houses and hit by a recession that left failed businesses strewn everywhere and 3 of Marbella's top hotels going under, prices fell by almost 25% along this coast. It's left thousands of Brits who bought into the idea of a dream place in the sun seriously burnt. In the end,
3 mayors went to jail and the whole Marbella council was disbanded.
so you'd imagine they'd be burning effigies of a terrible trio. Well, not quite. The most notorious of the jailed mayors, the late Jesus Hill, is revered by locals as a modern-day Robin Hood, who created the thriving Marbella of today. Michelle and Stephen Eusden explained to me the alternative view of the corruption. They came here with next to nothing, started an expat newspaper from scratch, and judging by what's in their garage, have done rather well for themselves.
Michelle, looking magnificent, if you don't mind me saying.
Thank you.
The greatest nails I think I've ever seen in my life. Take me back to when you first came to Marbella. What was going on here then?
At that time, we were just at the end of the last recession. It was just starting to recover. There was still a lot of property here that was half-built, never finished from the previous recession. And then Jesus Hill came along, and he was the mayor. He was the mayor. He was the mayor for 11 years. Now, there's some things he did wrong, some things he did right.
Well, he went to jail, so it's a matter of record.
Yeah. Well, he went to jail because he approved some things that he shouldn't have approved.
So he was taking bungs for property developers, right?
Yes, and also...
In millions and millions of euros.
Yes.
So actually... If you don't mind me suggesting this other thesis, he's actually, far from being Robin Hood, he's Robbing Hood.
No, I didn't say it was Robin Hood.
If you ask the standard Spaniard on the street, even today, the average Spaniard will say to you, hold on a minute, he fed us.
Well, of course he did, but he was creating an entirely false black market where they're all on the take, right? And black money was everywhere. No one paid any tax, and you all made a fortune. No wonder he's popular.
He stopped petty crime.
Saddam Hussein had his moments.
Yeah, but he kept it all for himself. He didn't give it to the populace.
I don't think you can say that.
Oh, so it's because he gave back. He's a hero.
No, he's not a hero, but at the end of the day, his heart was in the right place, let's say. He was trying to promote Marbella.
He kind of set the standard, though, for a series of unbelievably corrupt mayors. I mean, the whole place was swimming in dodgy cash, wasn't it?
You can't say that. You have got...
I can't say that, it's true.
You've got...
They're all in jail. How many Spanish...
They're not all in jail.
Sorry, Michelle.
They're not all
with
in
respect, how many Marbella mayors were residing at King Juan Carlos's pleasure?
Well, at the time, there was 3. However...
Just the 3 of them?
You can't come to this country and say that there's corruption when you're...
Yes, I can. They're all in jail.
Well, there is. But there is that everywhere. And is it for the good or is it for the bad? Here, I think a lot of it was for the good.
Of course, ironically, he then spawned with his behaviour the arrival of some pretty heavy criminal gangs.
I agree with
you. You know, gangsters.
Yeah.
And you yourselves, in the end, fell victim to these people.
Yes.
What was that?
Well, I woke up one morning feeling very groggy and with a thick head, and I went downstairs to find out we'd been broken into, and subsequently realised that we'd been gassed, knocked out, so we didn't hear anybody in the house.
Seriously, you were gassed?
Yeah.
Seriously. They actually put the gas through the air conditioning units. That's how they get it in the house. We believe it comes from Eastern European, and it's something that their special services used to use.
We were fortunate. At the same night that we were actually gassed, a very wealthy Spanish client of ours was done in the same area, and they actually woke her up at gunpoint, her and her husband, and they had to empty the safes. So I thank God we got away, but it was a warning.
Scary stuff. But to add to the mix of multi-millionaires, criminal gangs and corrupt mayors, there's a new breed of visitor to Marbella, the boozed-up, binging Brit. But just how bad are their antics? Non-boozed-up Brit Max Clifford does some straight talking.
I mean, we've noticed young prostitutes, drugs being openly sold.
And I hit the millionaire's playground to find out how they really like to burn their cash.
You are clearly stinking rich. Is it impertinent to ask how much this cost you?
Yes.
As midnight approaches, Porto Banús becomes less swanky and more, well, you know what I mean. The sort of place you wouldn't let your daughter loose in without a chastity belt. There's no doubt that with the arrival of cheap flights a decade ago, a new type of tourist spewed forth on the plains, and they were looking for just one thing: a party. Marbella developed a Jekyll and Hyde personality. Whilst the front line has kept its upmarket glamour, the street behind has become decidedly more downmarket. It's known as the second line, and at the far end, along with the hookers, pickpockets and pushers, you'll find Lineker's Bar, a home from home to many Brits abroad.
Right, ladies, now you are on a hen weekend, right? Who is the lucky hen? You are, right. Why have you come to Porto Banús?
Because it's classier than most places and we're classy ladies.
Wait a minute, it's classier than most places and you're classy ladies. Ladies, with the greatest of respect, you're wearing weird tutus.
It's a one-off though.
So do you really think it's a classy place here?
Yeah, it is.
Where are you from? Now I know what you mean.
The nice part though.
What do you think of this place, Lineker's?
It is cheap. It is perfect for everyone.
You see, even though it may be cheesy, I can't wait to get in there.
Yeah, it is.
Who would you be most excited to see here?
They clearly have impeccable taste. This place has suffered a crate load of criticism for lowering the tone of the port. But after tonight, I can't see what all the fuss is about.
An absolutely crazy place, and yet, I have to say, undeniably good fun. They're all having a great time in there. I mean, look. Actually, maybe not.
The Lineker behind Lineker's is Wayne, once famous simply for being the cheeky younger brother of Gary. He's now famous for being the tax-evading younger brother of Gary, who went to prison and then came out to create a string of boozers, nightclubs and strip joints that stretch across the Med and beyond.
It's definitely fun here, isn't it? No question.
Wayne's not exactly Mr. Popular with Marbella's elite, thanks to the party-hungry clientele he brings to town.
So wait, do you make any apology to the smart set of Marbella? I think you have brought this place crashing to its knees down market. Do you make any apology?
No, none at all. What Lineker's has done for the port has not lowered the clientele. It's brought a new clientele to the port, a more down-to-earth clientele, and a great crowd. And fortunately for Lineker's, it's turning towards the crowd that we want. You know, we'll go through sort of 15,000 bottles of beer over a weekend.
15,000 bottles of beer?
Over a weekend.
Do you think the media caricature of Marbella is, and Porto Banús in particular, is unfair?
It's a high-profile place. It's a busy place, and what sells stories, you know, muck sells stories, isn't it? So they're going to look at that side of things.
Are you happy wallowing in muck?
Oh, where there's muck, there's money, Piers.
I mean, do you think you've made Porto Banús more accessible to the British working-class man and woman?
That's exactly right, Piers.
So Wayne Lineker's message to the rich and famous of Marbella is...
Do one.
So, no room for the toffs in Wayne's world. I'm not exactly sure they're rushing to be at his side, are you? But whilst the drunken hoi polloi might be confined to just one short street in Porto Banús, it's one street too many as far as many Brits living the dream here are concerned. It's the hottest conversation in town as they sit in their bougainvillea-clad villas or stroll the lush golf course. Public relations guru Max Clifford and his gated community friends seemed positively militant when I caught up with them for afternoon tea.
This strikes me, we're all sitting here having an absolutely quintessential English tea.
And it kind of suits all of us. Tea, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, when Bob's been golfing and we've been swimming and the girls have been shopping, yeah, or having their nails done.
It is lovely here. I mean, I have to say, though, this is about as far removed from Porto Banús at night time. Marbella is a weird contradiction of areas, isn't it?
Porto Banús is like Soho is to London.
Yes.
You can come out of the theatre in the West End and go to a beautiful restaurant, or you can go into the streets of Soho where there's drug addicts and prostitutes and whatever. It's the same here.
Does that concern you as a long-term Marbella resident?
If I was running Marbella, then it would be cleaned up. There would be police presence, it would be altogether different.
What would you do? Would you shut down bars like Lineker's?
Well, I would make sure that they were carefully controlled. I mean, in terms of people wanting to go out and have a drink, absolutely fine. But it's all that goes with it. I mean, we've noticed increasingly young prostitutes, drugs being openly sold. It can be cleaned up, and it could be cleaned up very easily. I mean, they approached me 2 or 3 years ago about doing PR down here. All right, they couldn't come up with the money, but I made it very clear to them that these were issues which had to be addressed and had to be sorted out.
What do you charge these days to clean up a very badly tarnished reputation?
I told them that it would be a minimum of 2 years at £25,000 a month.
Right, here's a cheque.
Right, that's my vote sorted. Max for mayor. Back in the 50s, when this town first became a tourist destination, there were no image problems, because there was only one place to stay. European blue blood playboy Prince von Honlo turned a rustic farmhouse into the hideaway Marbella Club Hotel, with the express intention of offering it as a chilled-out alternative to the razzmatazz of Saint-Tropez for its aristocratic chums and glamorous Hollywood friends.
There was a time when the only telephone on the coast was here at the Marbella Club Hotel, which meant the likes of Jimmy Stewart, Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn might all be in the same queue waiting to call home. This hotel still has an aura of chic discretion about it. There are 23,000 trees in the garden and individual private villas, making it easy for stars to come here and stay without anyone knowing about it.
Just a week ago, desperate housewife Eva Longoria slipped inside and stayed in one of these £3,500 suites. The paparazzi were nowhere to be seen. Step next door into the Villa Tiberia restaurant and you'll still find the glamour and sophistication associated with Marbella of the 50s, a time when elegance and wealth kept itself to itself. Definitely very classy. But down on the port these days, it's more, if you've got it, flaunt it. And there are plenty of new money types who do. Well, if you've made a few million, why keep it to yourself? And if you really want to flash the cash, then head up the Ronda Road into the hills and burn some serious money with Marbella's top players. This is the Ascari Race Resort, a private club with a paltry joining fee of just £150,000. The multi-millionaire petrolhead who built this place largely for his own amusement also designed and manufactured this little plaything to go with it, the £250,000 Ascari supercar. Klaus Vort is the 58-year-old high-tech inventor and one of Marbella's richest residents, whose money fuels it all. And his latest invention to make himself even richer is a finger scanner that's impossible to fool.
It's all about fingerprints, right?
It's not fingerprint.
What is it?
It's a radio scan of your 7th layer inside your finger.
It's like something out of Star Trek.
There's a good reason for all this security.
My God. These are Formula One cars,
These
right?
are all Formula One cars.
All of them have been used in Formula One races.
Proper Formula One cars.
I'm now inside the most expensive toy box in the world.
This has got to be 10 million quid's worth, hasn't it?
Could be.
What was your vision for this place?
Basically, I would like to own a circuit where I could play on every day. That's how it started.
It's the ultimate boy's toy, really, isn't it?
Yes. Every day I get here, I still think it's a fantastic place and I love it. It's like walking into heaven when you get to these gates.
It's an extraordinary place.
Yes.
I mean, you could live anywhere in the world, couldn't you?
Yes.
Why Marbella?
I think Marbella is vastly underrated. I think it's a fantastic place. Need to be in Western Europe on a regular basis. So this is only 2.5 hours flight from London or from Amsterdam, whatever. So it's easily accessible.
I mean, with the greatest respect, Klaus, you are clearly stinking rich. Is it impertinent to ask how much this cost you?
Yes. But it's a lot.
In fact, Klaus invested a vast £50 million of his fortune on having a good time. And having that kind of money to spare definitely puts you in the upper Marbella set. They all hang out at Olivier Vallet's nightclub. Lineker's is just a stone's throw away, but this place is about as far removed from Wayne and his pals as you could possibly get.
Hello.
The Queen of Marbella.
Welcome to my
I have
place.
heard so much about you.
Thank you very much.
Take me into your lair.
Welcome, welcome.
This is Marbella's premier nightclub, and is as voluptuous, exotic and entertaining as Olivia herself.
People said to me that I couldn't make a programme about Marbella and not eventually meet you.
that is real. Because I said to everybody, if you come to Marbella and not come to visit my place, it's like to go to Roma and not go to the Vatican.
So here are the bowels of your cellar, Olivia.
On a busy weekend, almost 5,000 people will guzzle their way through the content of Olivia's cellar.
This is one weekend's worth.
Yes.
But don't bother coming if you're on a tight budget. The punters here spend more in one night than most people spend on their 2-week holiday.
This is a 1995
Yes, it's a
Methuselah,
Methuselah
of Dom
of
Perignon.
Dom Perignon.
How much are they?
That's a bottle of 30,000 euros.
30,000 euros for a bottle of champagne? I'm told that everybody's been in here. Give me some names of people who've been here.
Oh, from Sean Connery to Bruce Willis and with Rod Stewart.
And I heard you had Prince Harry in one night.
Oh, yes. That is the most chic and elegant young boy that I receive.
Really?
And when he tells me that it's the best night that he spent in his life, I tell him,
really?
Don't worry, you are going to have thousands of better nights. Believe me, Marbella is a paradise. One night you like to have something very sophisticated and very good food, and one day you go to beaches where you eat wonderful fishes for very cheap price.
Yeah, but hang on a sec, Olivia. I mean, if I went to your nightclub tonight, there are going to be people spending between 5,000 and 20,000 euros, aren't there?
Yes, we have. Thanks God. Thanks God, because if there is only poor, it's a little contagious. I don't like to be so near than them.
Quite right, Olivia. We certainly don't want you catching a dose of poverty in Marbella, now do we? So, it seems the rich here are very happy living their own wealthy bubble, buying themselves distance from the riffraff and locking themselves away from the criminals. So what does the future look like to anyone who's thinking of setting up shop in Marbella? James Hewitt is the latest immigrant to try his luck.
Do you think Marbella is a pretty good place to reinvent yourself if your reputation has been a bit, you know, scallywag, cad, bounder?
Thank you for repeating that again.
And how do you down 120 bottles of champagne in just 2 minutes?
Well, it's a champagne spray party, silly. Well, the thing is, you don't drink it all, so what else is there to do?
Tell me I'm barking mad, that I'm a Jeroboam short of a Nebuchadnezzar. Or perhaps it's all this sun getting to my head. But everyone I meet in Marbella says exactly the same thing. This is the best place in the world for work, rest and play.
But most people don't come here to work or rest, really. They come here to play in the sun, sea and sand. Oh, and also in the giant red cups full of champagne as well. Here at Nicky Beach, I'd arranged to meet Bianca Gascoigne, daughter of football legend Paul Gazza Gascoigne, to have a quiet chat about the new Marbella. Well, quiet-ish. Now then, Bianca, here we are in your natural lair.
Of course, yes.
Nicky's Beach,
Absolutely.
Marbella. Seems to be a load of people over there
Yes.
just spraying champagne.
Yes. Well, it's a champagne spray party, silly.
What's that?
Well, a champagne spray party is basically, it says what it is on the tin. It's a party spraying champagne.
So they're all buying champagne.
They're all buying champagne,
So how
yes. I'm not too sure because obviously
Well, let's have a look.
in a big group, obviously you
So
have...
here we are, look.
Yeah.
The champagne here,
Yeah.
a Magnum of Cristal,
Yeah.
1,945 euros.
Yes.
And this lot are spraying it all over each other.
Yes.
I mean, that's the most senseless waste of money I've ever seen in my life.
And I thought the same. I thought the same. Basically, last time I was girls, we had 120 bottles of champagne.
What do you do with it?
Well, the thing is, you don't drink it all, so what else is there to do?
Well,
you spray it.
Do you think in a recession, Bianca, that spraying champagne all over each other is a sensible thing to do?
Absolutely not, but it's a fun thing to do.
Ah, yes, fun. That'll pay the bills. And talking of bills, if you're a millionaire and you're not quite so keen on giving so much of your hard-earned cash to the taxman, there's another reason you might want to move to Marbella.
As every local estate agent will tell you, on a good day you can see Gibraltar and Africa from here. Gibraltar's just a 40-minute drive away, but it's been a thorn in the side of Spain for decades, lurking like a shark off the coast, feeding off the scraps that places like Marbella throw at it. But the tide may now be turning.
If you're a tax exile, then Gibraltar's now one of Europe's lowest tax takers. And incredibly, you don't even have to live there to reap the benefit. Sounds too good to be true? Well, don't take my word for it. Have a listen to what James Young has to say. He's a Marbella millionaire who sold his pharmacy business in the UK and saved a fortune in tax by buying a flat in Gibraltar. I caught up with James on his £2 million Sunseeker. Pen and paper at the ready, everyone.
So, James, I mean, you really are living the Marbella life, aren't you?
I'm not quite sure about this.
Well, let me spell it out for you.
Yeah.
Nice big yacht.
Yes.
Vintage champagne in your hand.
Yes.
The coiffured look of a man stinking of success, James.
Wow.
How do you plead?
Guilty. Guilty, yeah.
I mean, it's maybe a daft question, but what made you leave Sunderland to come and live in Marbella?
Well, before I sold the company, I took advice and applied to be a resident of Gibraltar.
But you don't have to live there for any number of days as part of the deal.
Exactly. I don't have to live even one day or spend one night there.
Really?
I can just spend my time in Marbella.
So what is the tax in Gibraltar if you do that?
Well, I didn't have to pay any capital gains tax on the sales price when I sold the company.
Do you mind me asking what you sold it for?
A few million, yeah.
So basically, by buying a little place in Gibraltar, you ended up paying no tax on that at all?
Yeah, that's right.
If you'd done that in England, you'd have been paying...
Exactly, capital gains tax at 10%. But on top of that is the inheritance tax, which is very important to me.
So by being resident in Gibraltar, what would that be now, your inheritance tax?
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing. My assets will be passed down to my children. And if I was in England, half of it would be going to Gordon Brown.
But what has Marbella got that Sunderland couldn't give you, James?
Well, it's got the weather, it's got the food,
I was
it's
actually
got
joking.
the ambiance.
I've been to Sunderland, don't worry.
Yeah, right.
So perhaps the reason this town is so successful is that just about anyone can come and make a life here. From millionaires to boozed up revellers, and from aristocrats to criminals. They're all doing what they do here in Marbella.
Armed with the idea that Marbella will accept anyone with open arms, Britain's ultimate cad traded his life in Chelsea for a new life here in the sun.
This is Polo House, a high-class establishment serving tiffin to the toss. Well, actually it serves posh nosh to anyone who'll pay for it. It's owned by one of my old tabloid targets, James Hewitt.
Awesome guy, James. Awesome.
For him, it's a whole new lease of life, a reinvention as restaurateur, rather than reality TV star, lettuce seller and all-round bounder. And let's not mention the affair with the most famous woman of all time.
James, we meet again.
We do indeed. Very warm welcome.
In slightly more...
Friendly.
Yes, friendly circumstances, yeah. Do you think Marbella, more than most places, is a pretty good place to reinvent yourself if your reputation has been a bit, you know, scallywag, cad,
very
bounder
interesting.
and so
That's
on?
a very... Thank you for repeating that again.
Scallywag, cad, bounder. You know what I mean, though? That actually this is a pretty good place and reinvent
I think
yourself.
anywhere is a good place to go, other than England. No, I wouldn't have chosen it for any other reason than it had potential for developing a new business.
Is it a big risk for you?
Oh, yes. A huge risk. I mean, last year was quite worrying.
A worst possible time to launch a place like this, I would have thought.
Well, I mean, one probably wouldn't have done it had one realised that the credit crunch was coming.
How much of a draw here are you, personally, do you think?
I hope very little.
Because what I hear is that all the ladies in town
No, you're
love
joking.
coming... No, I'm serious.
You're joking.
No,
You are
like coming along here to meet James Hewitt, which obviously I find quite baffling, but it's true.
Well, thank you for that. Well, no, I'm not going to kid myself. I mean, you know, I think that people are intrigued. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily me, but it's the person that they've read about or heard about. But I hope they find when they've been here that they like the place and they come back.
And is there a lady in the life of James Hewitt at the moment?
No.
No?
No. No time. No time.
I mean, would it be a dream of yours that you could be remembered, perhaps, as James Hewitt, a successful restaurateur, rather than James Hewitt, ex-lover of Princess Diana?
I mean, you can't expunge history, so
But
Excuse
in
me.
terms of an aspiration for you personally?
Yes, I mean, I'm trying to, I have moved on. I'm going to continue to move on. And if that is accompanied by success, then I would have no complaints.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I set off to investigate a tale of two cities, but Marbella has turned out to be a mini metropolis in the sun, providing everything to everyone.
Try and quantify exactly why so many people flock down here, and you'll be sipping your G&Ts for several days to come. But one thing's for sure, it remains at its heart somewhere that people come to live a dream, to retire, to party, to make a fortune, to spend a fortune,
or even just to enjoy a great holiday.
Marbella, whatever tickles your fancy, can offer it all.